Hello and thanks for joining us on the first edition of Journalist Hangout for the week. I am Kemi Foladiemo. So today, at last, Fayemi emerges Ekiti State Governorship candidate of the APC. Comes just as Fayose, the governor there, wants him not to jubilate. Also on the program, PDP intensifies wooing of aggrieved APC members as Imo Governor Okorocha launches attack on Oyegun and the rest of the National Working Committee. Later on the program, court dismisses suit challenging APC's tenure elongation. And I'm not alone. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Mayor Akipelu, and Chris Kende Wandu. If you're ready, Journalist Hangout starts now. A reenactment of history is unfolding as the battle for the governorship seat in Ekiti State hits up. After a botched primary election, Fayemi emerged as the governorship candidate for the APC. Fayemi is a former occupier of the exalted office. He beat 31 other contestants to clinch the ticket. But then he faces a great adversary in the mold of the PDP, I should say, in his bid to reclaim the seat. And not forgetting his rival, incumbent Governor Ayo Fayose, who has told him not to jubilate yet. He described Fayemi's victory at the primary election as pyrrhic. So that's how we begin the show today. It also comes at a time when the APC in Ekiti State is calling this victory a collective victory, not just for Fayemi, but indeed for the party. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this hour. Mayor, let's begin with you. How do you see this? Is it really a victory that is tantamount to defeat, as Fayose says?
Not really. It was obvious that Fayemi will win the primaries for any discerning minds. You know, when he lost the last time, I think, you know, Fayemi is somebody that has ego, very huge ego. And I'm sure he must have been embarrassed the way he lost 16-0. He lost his local government. So immediately he became the minister. He started planning to come back. He worked on the delegates. He's been funding the party structure in the state. So it's not. So I was a bit surprised that people were not complaining. It was obvious that if they do that election 10 times, they will win. It was obvious because he has already made provisions for it. He had watchers, he had friends in Ondo and all that. But in terms of the victory itself, the election itself is 50-50. But as it is now, PDP has a slight edge than Fayemi. Reason that the factors that led to his losing the election the last time are still there. He had problems with the teachers in the state. He had problems with civil servants. He had problems with members of the road transport union. He had problems with members of his party that time. So those factors are still there. He has not done anything to change those dynamics. And then when you now look at PDP, whatever you have to give it to Fayose. Fayose seems to understand the problem, but don't forget that he has won 2 elections during the presidential election and the one for the House. He won those 2 elections when Buhari mania was everywhere and was sweeping all over the country. He was still able to win the election in his state. And then the dynamics of Professor Lekrai, the governorship candidate and the running mate, because the biggest vote in Ekiti is from Ado. And the running mate is from Ado, who is the former chairman of local government of Ado Ekiti. And then the next set of votes, the biggest next set of votes is from Ikere, and the PDP candidate is from Ikere. So when you look at that, if they can swing both votes, PDP will probably coast home. So right. Yes, they have to do something about the Ado votes.
All right, let me run this through Chris. Chris, Fayemi, I should say, has already apologized for perceived errors now done under his watch when he was first governor earlier now. But do you think this is enough now that it's like a replay of what happened then?
Yes, the beauty of this coming election is that the Ekiti people now have a taste of 2 different parties and 2 personalities. One has been Fayose, one is Fayose, the one is Fayemi, both Fafa. And now it is for them to decide. You know, there's this saying, the African parlance, that once a wife marries two different husbands. The possibility of her being able to choose which she thinks serves her best. So, for what? Yes, Fayemi has apologized. I was watching him on one of the channels yesterday where he was asked certain questions and rest. And one of the questions that was raised was that before you left about 3 months' salaries unpaid. The local government workers were not paid. Apart from others, and one of the reasons given by one of his reasons is that, okay, even the present Ekiti, the present government is owing 4 months. You understand what I'm trying to say? So they're trying to justify what, but all in all, I think he must have learned his lessons. There are so many things that he took for granted in his first term. Probably he took the literates in Ekiti. He thought that he had Ekiti under his wrap. And Fayose just came from nowhere and just went. So I just believe. And another thing that what he needs to do quickly is to be able to close the ranks of all the contending, what do you call them, aspirants from his party.
All right.
But if he'll be able to consolidate that, I think he will go into this election a bit more charitable, better more prepared than he was the last time.
But then, Babajide, it does seem as Fayemi's emergence now kind of played into the net of Fayose. He says this is exactly what he wanted. So it's going to be like, a 16-0 result again. What do you think?
I think there's no doubt about it that he feels more confident.
That's Fayemi?
Yes. I mean,
Fayose with the Fayemi there.
He feels more confident with facing Fayemi in the election. That's the person that is wanted all along to face. That's the person that is prayed all along that Providence should give him in the election. He would not have been confident if it was Segun Oni that won. There's no doubt about it. They think that Segun Oni would be able to draw widespread support from party members, from civil servants, from all categories of people in the state. But there are people who still haven't forgiven Fayemi, and I don't know what he can do between now and the election time. I read people saying, oh, Fayose rigged the last election. And I just laugh because to show that defeating Fayemi was not a fluke, there were 3 other elections in that state that he won. He won the House of Assembly election, he won the House of Reps election, he won the Senate, and he did not concede a single seat. In the Southwest, whether it is Lagos or Ogun State, any state in the Southwest, you will see that an opposition party will have at least 1 person in the House of Assembly, 1 person in the Senate, 1 person in the House of Reps. Maybe in Lagos, all 3 of them are from the APC, so that's an exception. But even in Lagos, in the House of Reps, there are people from the PDP. In Oyo State, in the House of Reps, there are people from the PDP. There are people from Labour Party. In Lagos, there are people from Accord, even in the House of Reps. But in Ekiti State, not 1 person who was not a Fayose supporter won any election in Ekiti State. And I remember even before the election, Fayose was boasting that pé màá lù sí síìtì kan nílùú yìí ní assembly yẹn ká má rí ẹranko bí erin ní ó máa ń pàbọn. He boasted. And that's exactly what happened. Even the by-election, there was a particular election in the state that was contested. His candidate still won the by-election. So anyone who wants to continue to underrate Fayose's standing is doing that at his own peril. I know that in our country, we enjoy deceiving ourselves. We lie a lot. It's something that we enjoy doing. If we do not like a person, we will never speak the truth about that person. There are very few Nigerians who at any point in time you can rely on them to tell you the truth. And that's the reason we find ourselves in the mess that we find ourselves, because we don't enjoy saying the truth. The truth is, Fayose is very strong. in that state till today, despite the fact that he's owing salaries. He's owing salaries, but he's still strong. And he has found a way, he's a street guy. He has found a way to mesh with the ordinary people. It's not every person in Ekiti that is a civil servant. And even those civil servants, he has found a way to do what you call divide and rule, to ensure that a segment of the civil servants will be happy with him, while another segment will not be too happy with him. So he understands the dynamics of policies, and whoever wants to defeat him has to really, really work hard.
Right.
They should put 2014 behind them, Captain Cookie and the rest, the plan to rig and all that. They should put that behind them and begin to work hard as a team. Fayemi went to Segun Oni's house to appeal to Segun Oni to support him after Segun Oni won the election. And Segun Oni's supporters were right there still calling him thieves. They calling him thief. I have the video.
This was after Fayemi.
Even after Segun Oni congratulated him, his supporters, his own supporters, when Fayemi went to greet him, they were still calling him, calling Fayemi thief, calling Fayemi thief. So there's a lot of work to do.
Right.
The truth they don't tell themselves is that there is a mountain to climb.
Okay. That said, now that you all have had your say, let's run along, because it's actually obvious now that this battle is actually between Fayose and Fayemi, even though there is actually the deputy governor of the state talking about Eleka. Indeed. But then some have said he seems to be like a greenhorn in the business. How doesn't he seem like some form of baggage for Fayose with all the advantages that we've all established that Fayose has in his kitty? But then with Anishola, what are the PDP's chances?
I don't think so. In politics, what is important is the structure. The candidate is the representative of a structure. Somebody was relatively new in Lagos. Right. You understand? He was a civil servant.
Nobody knew him.
He was a civil servant. Fashola was relatively new. So that is not an issue. But he comes with, apart from the fact that he's a professor, he comes with very strong electoral assets. Like I explained earlier, he's from Ikere, and Ikere has a lot of votes.
It's a good voting bloc.
Yes, it's a very strong voting bloc. Ikere's vote is very strong. Ikere comes after Ado. And his running mate is from Ado. And not only that he's from Ado, he's the immediate chairman of Ado local government. You know, when you're a chairman of local government, you deal with grassroots every time. So PDP has done their own work very well. APC has to do a lot to do that, for them to even stand a chance at all. Because it depends on who they are bringing as their own running mates. Because if, for whatever reason, they cannot do anything about the Ado votes, it will be a no contest. Because the Ado votes will be key.
All right, but then, Chris, the PDP has also recorded some crumbling now as a result of Professor Eleka's emergence. Now, is that not going to be a factor?
No, I think Fayose, way back about 3 months ago, came out with a masterstroke in that he has already identified who we want to support. Okay, and he made that quite clear, his deputy. And you have to give it to him. Name any governor in the past, except for a few, sitting governors or the outgoing governors, that were willing to allow their deputies to take over from them.
Very few.
Name them. Probably, even the one that Ikoko answered that did it, it's already having problems.
He's already regretting it.
He's regretting it. I'm telling you. You understand that kind of thing? So for him to come out, look at what is happening. I don't know, even in my own state of him, must see what is happening. Okay, what he did was, it was a master stroke. He said, he believed in this guy. Most people didn't know him. The guy has always been in the background, doing the work.
Comfortable there.
So what he did was say, I support my deputy. But any other person within the PDP that wishes to contest the primaries, you are free to come up. Olujimi came up, don't forget. Before Adeye, at least those are the two major contenders. Then later, just before the primaries, Olujimi stepped down. Adeye was only person. But that of APC, 33. And everybody, we are talking to everybody, that, please come down, let's stream down. Everybody say, there are some of them that went to that district. I had only one vote. I was one, some had four.
Yes. After
spending 7.5 million, 4 million to collect a form. So you could see that when the APC itself, they did not do that. So they played into his hands. So I believe for now, the PDP is a bit much more united than the first and foremost. Fayemi had to start, try to reconcile all those that this thing. Babafemi Ojodu dropped out of the race. It wasn't because he wanted to, but there are some politics. Even during the primaries that went kaput, quote and unquote, most of the contenders were saying that they had no trust in Amakura, who was the present governor of Nasarawa State, who supervised the rest. So within the APC itself, there are a lot of challenges. So I believe that for now, PDP seems to be a bit on the edge, but that in itself shouldn't be, because it is not between Fayose. Although people look at it as a Fayose, it's not Fayose that's going to be on the ballot. It's going to be deputy governor versus Fayemi, but it has a very, very big war chest in Fayose, who is ready to. He wants to make a statement. Okay, he wants to say. But I personally, if you ask my personal opinion, I personally feel that I think, with all this endorsement, and the only state that have gotten it right is Lagos. Most often than not, when, for continuity's sake, since 1999, why Lagos seems to be working is because there has been some level of consistency in all the governors. Because there's no government that comes, even with a 4-year program, there's no way you can finish up a 4-year program. There's still be some other party comes in.
So the continuity plan has been well executed. So Fayemi has already apologized to the populace in Ekiti State now. And then let's now look at the reconciliatory moves that he's made. He's extended the olive branch now to fellow aspirants. Now come on board, join my advisory board. The party has also said, oh, hey, you guys on the other side, see this as a collective victory. But how does that wash? You've already talked about a less than 2-month plan now that the party has, or doesn't even seem to have. How much time the party has at its disposal?
I'm not ruling out his chances at all. I'm just saying the truth. Today, yes, nearly all of those candidates, all of those aspirants that competed against Fayemi do not like him. Some are not on talking terms with him. Some can barely tolerate him. And all he needs to do now is to reach out to those people and achieve genuine reconciliation. Otherwise, they will work against him. They may not be able to score more than 1 vote or 2 votes in the primaries. But at the national election, they can demarcate him. They can campaign against him. Which is worse, when you see someone from your own party, when the voters see someone from your own party working against you, it will be easy for them to make up their minds against you. So after the primaries, there is a lot of work that he needs to do. He needs to show extreme humility. I say extreme because he has to now go beyond his real nature. Go and meet people, talk to people, assure them, because the fear that some people have is, Fayemi, we didn't vote for him the last time. If he wins this time, we're in trouble. He has to reassure people that, look, when I come in, I'm not going to victimize anybody, because that fear is there, and the opposition continues to use that fear that, it's coming, you know? So he needs to work on that. Let people realize that he's going to come in as a new broom to undo the damage that the current administration in the state has done, and that he will even do better than he did during his first term.
All right, let me interrupt you. Adegboyega joins us from here in Lagos. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I greet you all, please.
Carry on, please.
Let me start with saying, let us all remember whatever we do today will be an history tomorrow. Let me start by saying, initially, when PDP apologized to Nigerians, Tinubu Ahmed Tinubu, he said Nigerians should not accept the PDP's apology. Now they say Fayemi is apologizing to Ekiti people. Should he now directly say people should not also accept his apology? That is aside. When you are climbing a ladder, don't always sit or throw your dust, the dust of your shoe, on the people that are lower to you. I am a very good person of Ekiti State. I'm from Ekiti State. My grandpa is a renowned person in Ekiti. He's a renowned professor. I knew Fayemi very well, and I knew Fayose very well. Fayemi is the kind of person that doesn't relate with his people at all. He's always inside his tinted Jeep. Fayose, I had an encounter with him. He came to my house. I did a single for him, then I presented it to him. He came personally. But he didn't give me a dime. But he came to show appreciation for what I did to him. Fayemi had never done that. Let me tell you, except they rigged the election, that's the only way Fayemi would have his place in the Ekiti State.
All right.
Nothing.
Boyega. All right, Boyega, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, Fayemi has another chance now. Ajide, you want to wrap up before we go on a break?
Yes, I'm saying that the bigger job for him is with his own people from his own party. You see, somebody watched an interview that he granted in which he appeared to have disparaged one of the aspirants when he said that one. He described the candidate as that one. He may not have done well in the primaries because the primaries, once you can bribe delegates, you go to. There is someone on that aspirants list. Right. That people do not know, but he spent a lot of money. He got more votes than the better recognized politicians. So money plays a big part in party primaries. But the major election is a different kettle of fish. Right. You cannot settle everybody. You can't camp everybody. You can't give everybody money. So you just have to.
You can't take delegates to over.
Yes, you can't go and camp people somewhere. So that is, you have to reach out to your people. The fear that people have. Let me tell you, I said something some time ago because there's a lot of aberration about Nigerian politics. I said, Fayemi showed to us that you can actually perform as a governor and still not win a re-election. Yeah. Because Fayemi worked in that state.
Yeah, he did.
He worked. Yet the people didn't vote for him because they had some fears. They thought, oh, this man is going to rationalize the local government at that time. Yeah. You know, Fayemi actually started this idea of even screening teachers.
Teachers, yes, he did. That's
and people had fears. He's going to sack us. He's going to sack us. Those were the things that worked against him at that time. Oh.
And we are still seeing
so now he has to reassure people. Okay. He's no doubt fit for the job. He's an urbane character. He's brilliant. He has all it takes. But our politics is complex, and merit doesn't always carry the day in our politics.
All right, fine.
That's the fact.
Fine. Yes. But then, Mayor, Judah said something earlier now that even though there was a heavy army arsenal back then in 2014, but now looks like the tables have turned with the APC, of course, controlling power. Let's have this break before we go on a break, please.
You can only rig election where you have comparative advantage. If you are not popular somewhere, you cannot rig there.
Right.
You understand? So even if you rig an election, it's because we have influence in that environment. And for a sitting governor to lose 16-0, it has nothing to do with federal might.
No.
All right.
No.
All right, gentlemen. You're watching Journalists Hangout. I'm afraid time isn't on our side, so we'll just run along. But then still ahead on the program, PDP has intensified wooing of agreed APC members. Comes just as Imo Governor Okorocha launches attack on Oyegu and other National Working Committee members. Stay with us for more on the program. Watching Journalists Hangout. Well, it's often said that there are no permanent friends or enemies in politics. The reality of this maxim is now even more pronounced within the ruling All Progressives Congress, no thanks to crisis swelling up within its ranks. Now, more than before, struggles for the control of the party intensifies. Leading this latest charge is Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha, who's accused the National Working Committee of plots to derail the party. His grouse stemmed out of the alleged failed ward and local government congresses in his state. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party looks around the corner to take advantage, not just in Imo, but we see elsewhere. It's wooing aggrieved APC members to pitch their tents under the umbrella. Chris, this is a familiar terrain even for the APC. Of course, we know how, there was an upsurge of PDP members now trooping into the APC back then in 2015. How agitated must the APC feel at the moment, and what steps can they even take?
Well, I think what is happening now is a play out of what the National Executive Committee and the executive of the APC envisaged initially when they wanted to go for the term elongation for Oyego and Co. Because they knew that if they actually go into these primaries and congresses and the rest of them, they're going to have serious problems. And being very close to the election, being able to agree, to align all the aggrieved members and the rest of them. See what is happening? Adamawa, Kaduna, Delta, Imo, Jiga, name it, everywhere. In fact, I saw the spokesman of the Senate. That was on TVC 2 days ago, so where he was talking about the primaries in the state and the rest of them. That should be Zamfara also. You know, he complained bitterly. Everybody's complaining. So it is a big problem for the APC now. And the PDP also had this problem prior to the general election in 2024. That is where we started having, that was when we had people have forgotten now. The formation of NDP, what do you call it now? New PDP. I mean, right. It was from this kind of scenario. That was where it started from. And that was the beginning of the end of PDP. Now, let's bring it down home to Imo State, where Okorocha and the rest of it. I personally, I'm from Imo State. I would say, I would categorically, with so much emphasis that I personally so much disappointed with Rochas Okorocha. This was a man that came into governance with so much vigor, with so much support and the rest of them. So many of us, the youth of Imo State, supported this. I've never met him before. I've never seen him. I've never met any of his aides. I never had of his 7 to 8 years rule in Imo State. I've never had any contact with any of his mates. But over the years, I was taken so much to some of the things he has done in the past, with what he has done with the orphans, with schools and the rest of it. And that was why so many of us pushed for him. There was a governor before him, Ekiti Hakim, who was there for 4 years, and he was going for a second time. But because of the problem and he had, people now supported Rochas. But at the end of 7 years, are we saying that Rochas are ready? So people like Osita Izuna, so Deputy Governor Ararume and the rest of them now fighting against him now because he has decided to bring forward his son-in-law. That in itself is a problem.
Jide, are these really the issues now? I'm picking seeming feelings of the Okorocha government and then the fact his political moves now. Is this the justified reason for the opposition from within his party?
No, the thing is, whether he wants to bring his son-in-law or his mother-in-law, the truth is, the primaries have not been transparent. If you want to, defeat him at his game, you have to work hard. But a situation in which ballot materials will disappear, you cannot justify that because you think, well, it serves him right, he must not be allowed to produce, to have his son-in-law replace him. I am not someone who believes that, you are a governor, you must bring a relation to succeed you. Daddy tried it I said Daddy, was the former governor, Jonah Jang tried it in Plateau. It didn't work because they told him, look, you can't decide who succeeds you alone. Other stakeholders must get involved. People like Jerry Hussein, all of them said, no, it's not your decision alone. And at the end of the day, they left the party for him. So, but the APC, what is happening at the APC is a situation in which the party set up a so-called convention committee led by the governor with the funny beard, the governor of Jigawa State. And at the end of this day, it is not the governor with the funny beard that is organizing the convention or the congresses. It is still Oyegun and his people who are organizing this and determining who because they set up the organizing, the
Committee.
Congress organizing committee in the respective states. And they are the ones who will say, okay, it is the governor's camp that you will work with. So if they don't like Okorocha because Okorocha joined, galvanize other governors who say, no, there can't be tenure elongation, let us follow the constitution. You now decided to work against him, support the people who are against him. This is what is happening. It's a game. It's not. Otherwise, when you look at what is happening, the APC national leadership has been encouraging political brigandage across the states. But in Imo State, they've chosen to align with the Ararumes of this world to pay Okorocha back in his coin. Because Okorocha was one of those who pushed and encouraged the president all the way that, look, there has to be elective Congress. Remember the day that the governors had a meeting with the president and the press reported that they came out, the governors came out frowning their faces. It was because Okorocha abused 4 of the governors, including the Kaduna governor, the Ondo governor, Lalong himself, and the Kogi governor. He said, you people always behave here as if you love Buhari more than the rest of us. That the president said, let's have elective congresses so that nobody can take us to court after the election and defeat us. Now you say you love the president and you are going against what the president wants. At the end of the day, everyone agreed that, okay, we go by what the president wants. But what are they doing across the states? It's still election by affirmation that they are doing. In a lot of those states, no real election is taking place. They will just draw up a list from the governor's government house, and then they will make sure that their opponents do not have access to electoral, even the forms. You can't buy forms, so how can you even contest? This is what is happening. It's the height of impunity, what is happening in those days. And what are we even talking about? Today, in 28 states, APC has had parallel congresses.
Let me run this
28. So how many states are out of 36?
Let me bring Mayor.
That's the height of the crisis.
Mayor, what do you have to say to all this? Are you total agreement?
Yes, I agree with him. I agree with Babajide because the problem has to do with the National Working Committee. That's the problem with the party, headed by the chairman of the party. I think that's the problem. Is the chairman, the present National Working Committee is the problem of the party.
Is it a seeming negligence now, or with what this gentleman has said now? There's strong evidence, right?
The clique that they call the Abuja faction, they have their own agenda. They have people that they believe is their friends. People like you said, people like Akeredolu, people like Rufai, were those that are in that camp who wanted Oyegun to continue. But some people do not really want Oyegun to continue. They didn't support that tenure allegation thing. And when you look at, and then there is negligence on the part, there is inefficiency on the part, because if you look at the congresses, like you said, there's nothing there. The party is just hanging in there. And we cannot say that they've really conducted congresses, apart from some few states. So it is because the leadership of the party, if the leadership is weak, there's no way they can organize good congresses. And what is happening in Imo is unfortunate. I believe that, I don't want to get involved in somebody anointing his son-in-law or not. But the governor is the leader of the party in the state. To want to sideline the governor, who is the leader of the party in the state, is to create chaos, which cannot work. Though part of the problem has to do with the fact that major stakeholders in Imo do not agree with the fact that the man wanted to put somebody that is related to him. And the chairman of the party and the caucus within the National Working Committee seems to now align with them, which is unusual, because most times they usually align.
So teach him a lesson.
But because they want to teach him a lesson, that's why they align against him.
All right, but then I want us to maybe do some form of comparison. Yeah. Now, we've talked about the Fayose-Eleka relationship, and now we're having something like, the governor the opposite of it. Yes. He said, this is the man I want to succeed me, and the opposition just tried their luck, and we saw how it played out. But then the Imo example.
Yes, it's a different ballgame entirely. If in Fayose's case, Fayose said, I want my deputy to take over from me. If Rochas Okorocha has come out and say, I want my deputy to take over from me.
No, but then he had a choice. It's still a matter of...
I'm just saying, yeah, he has a choice.
Right.
But at times, what you look as being political expedient and also other issues coming to play plays a lot in politics. The fact that I am the CEO of CKN News and I decide tonight and say, oh, my wife, even if she's coming from the banking sector, must be the deputy editor-in-chief of CKN News. Yes, it is my right, it's my company.
Right.
But what of those working with me? How would they take it? Does my wife have the requisites to be able to, if I'm not around, can she be able to handle the issues? Now, this is a young man that started as a commissioner. So in terms of ability to perform, I don't have any problem with the young man, sincerely. And I believe most people from Imo State don't even have that issue. But the fact, the problem they are having is a situation where somebody will come out and say, he said it, he said whether except God. That was his words. He said except God.
He didn't carry them along.
He didn't carry anybody along. And that is major problem. He did not carry anybody along.
And because he would not have envisaged what is happening.
That is because
governors always have the power.
Listen, he did
Exactly.
not. That is the issue.
Right.
He did not carry everybody. And don't forget, this same Rogers was not a member of APC.
Yes.
People have forgotten
He came
that
from
he came from
Abga.
another. He won under the platform of another party.
Abga.
Abga.
Which even links us now to the crux, to the main issue at hand now. You know, how this walls now, these crumblings now in APC must surely make the opposition parties, especially PDP, feel. Even there were reports that the Okorocha plans to return to Abga, which is swiftly debunked and said that was all. Right. But then, what moves now should be made? It's not just Imo now. There's serious work that needs to be done in the APC nationwide, so as not to, you know, feed its opposition.
You see, we wonder about what we are seeing now. Anybody who watches this program regularly will know that we saw this crisis coming, and we had been warning about the conduct, the aberrant conduct of the National Working Committee of the party and some governors. Because these governors had turned themselves to God with the small letter G. And we were saying, look, it will hurt this party if you do not do something about these governors. Now the president has come out to say, let us have elective congresses so that everybody in the party can have the opportunity to try his luck.
All right, is Alex still there? Alex, are you still there?
I'm still there, yes.
I'm sorry, please carry on. Briefly, please.
All right, good evening. I'm very happy with all the people in the house.
Thank you.
About the APC adopting, Rochas adopting his son-in-law as the APC candidate in Imo. The issue is that Imo people are very, very well. We don't have party. We don't have a particular preferred party in Imo. The issue is that we only want somebody, a good person, a good candidate, who is willing and will work for Imo. So the only thing Rochas adopting his son-in-law as a candidate in Imo will never work.
Fine.
All the people of Imo are working for Rochas on that day.
All right.
Except Rochas alone and his family will vote for that young man.
No, you can't
We are
no,
waiting.
that's
Everybody is keeping quiet, waiting for Rochas. Let him do whatever he wants to do. Rochas, after Samba, Rochas have done so well. Have done, but may not be more better than another person in Imo. We are only waiting for a credible candidate.
Alex,
that will come up.
Thanks a lot. Let's keep it short and simple. Thanks a lot, Alex, for joining us again. It also comes on the heels of Oshiba just saying this troubles within the party are normal. The party is strong enough to withstand it.
No. I like the vice president because he's an excellent speaker, and you see, he's a former debating champion.
Yeah.
They can line up 3 people to debate against Oshibajo, and Oshibajo will still defeat them.
He did that in Igbobi College, so I know.
He's a debating champion.
My senior.
He knows how to talk. When you get angry, you face him, he knows what to say to you, that your nerves will be calmed.
Calm down, right.
But the problem that we are talking about is beyond It's beyond merely just saying, no, this is a party that has internal mechanism to resolve its conflict. APC is not an old party as such. And we are seeing the underbelly of the party. This crisis, this World Congress have exposed the fact that APC is a fractured party, a thoroughly divided party. Yeah, did you see the comment that even Asiwaju made about how selfish individuals are bent on rocking the boat? Did you see the comment that Shehu Sani made? So the truth is, the president needs to call these people together and let them realize that there is fire on the mountain. Because I look at the number of people that the governor in Adamawa State has succeeded in alienating, all the big shots in the state, in that party. The Babashi Lawalo, the Muhammad Buba Marwa, all the big shots, he has succeeded, and Baba Yako, he has succeeded in brushing them aside, and he wants to run the party alone. What can only happen is that at the end of this whole phase, because they had parallel congresses in that state as well. If they do not get justice, if they do not get justice, either maybe when Oshomole takes over, or even now, if they do not get justice, they will move out of the party. And if they move out of the party, APC will be embarrassed. It's as simple as that. It's not a matter of emotions. Right. You saw that Sekondu said they are already talking to people. No. It's just like two brothers fighting. The one who wants to sell his weapons will just fold his hands. Iran-Iraq war. The Americans folded their arms. We will continue to fight. We can see where we will sell our weapons. That is the thing. Right. PDP is lying in wait, trying to feed off the carcass of the APC. And that carcass will come if they do not fix this problem. They still have
We've
time.
even seen Sekondo saying the party is ready to do take all legitimate means now to assure that all its children, so to speak, come
that is if APC gives him that chance.
That chance. Yeah. All right, a tough challenge now for the APC. And funnily enough, earlier on in the day, the ghost of tenure elongation for APC officials also had a replay, so to speak. It may have finally been laid to rest as a federal high court in Abuja ruled that the suits challenging it have been overtaken by events no more alive, in the words of the judge. Though the APC has nipped the attending crisis in the bud with the conduct of the ongoing congresses and the plans for the bigger ones, the judgment delivered by Judge Nnamdi Dingba is of immense political importance. So the coast is now clear from that verdict for other APC members to aspire for leadership positions in the party. Well, Mayor, it's rightly, in the words of Justice Dingba, the case is no more alive. Yes, all these issues are no more alive, really purely academic.
Yes, because we have this problem that we are discussing now. There are congresses, and then people are now contest for posts that they want. It's likely that another chairman will emerge. You understand? So it is good that it was laid to rest, because if the case had been there, or if somebody still mentioned it, they could still be talking about whether they could still come back to it, to the tenure allegation, right, to solve the problem of this. Now we know that they cannot go back to that again. They now have to deal with the congresses that they are organizing. And like we've been discussing, if they don't handle it well, let it not, what happened to PDP, let it not happen to them, because if people, the balance between PDP and APC, the balance, the closeness, the balance is just for one to tilt to the other. If people move, because I'm hearing from Grapevine that part of the things that PDP is thinking about is to do a name change. They want to try to change the name of the party. Rebrand. And then they want to rebrand. And they want to try to, and they are talking to a lot of top people in APC. And if this crisis happens, it will be easier for those people to cross over to them. And then there will be, anything can happen after that. Because in most of these states, people that are involved are the powerful people in the state. And it is the same scenario for the new PDP. If people who are powerful within the state believe that, we are being marginalized, and the governor thinks it's very powerful, let us use another platform to show him that it's not as powerful as he thinks. And if those people move like that to the new rebranded PDP, anything can happen.
of course, we even had, talking about the NPDP matter now, we hear that Oyegun and the president should meet soon. But then on this instant case, now, not only do we have the issue of, the case not being alive again, but Dingba is saying now that a mention was made of the Markafi, Alimodu Sheriff power tussle then. Somebody was trying to make a semblance of some sorts now between that and this present cases. What do you have to say really now? Has this really, truly laid all the pending issues to rest?
Yeah, the problem as we have with the APC presently is a bumper. Traps. All sorts of mines have been laid. Let me just put this in scenario. As it's presently constituted, the APC is divided into about 4 different groups. The CPC group is still there. The NPDP is still there. The AC group is still there. One more party, that's just one more. There were about 4 of them.
No, one faction of
ABGA. A faction of ABGA. And I can tell you that most of those factions are still existing. And whatever crisis is going on now within the APC is within those 4 factors. Everybody, the NPDP that just came out, who are they? About 4 or 5 governors that left PDP to join the APC. Although some of them are already well established, people like Amechi and the rest of them are already established. But listen to the person, the spokesman of the NPDP that spoke, that gave the 7-day ultimatum. That is the right-hand man of Saraki. Baraje, I hope
so
you know.
Even those who are not quoted,
yes,
who are also...
Yes, a Baraje couldn't have come out to speak. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
A Baraje cannot come out to speak the way he spoke if they have the backing of the Senate President, Saraki. That means that's the problem within the APC. So the problem as it is now, it's not just, what we just had is just a temporary succor with the judgment or given by the judge, because already that has been overtaken by event. And that is what the Lagos APC have been trying to avoid from day one. Let us go into this. And the president, when the president was duly informed, if they had gone with the allegation, term allegation, that would have been a problem. Because as the president said, Buhari said, anybody could have gone to court and challenged that. Even Buhari himself, his nomination as president would have been nullified. And APC could have ended up not having a candidate in 2019. So those are the issues. I think that has been what they need, what the APC need is to be able to reconcile. There are a lot of egos going on within the party.
Right.
Look at, just a second, before I look at what Oshomole said a few days back when he declared. I don't want to go into that.
Shortly after.
You need to read in between the lines to see.
Now I have to come in because Gbenga is right there. Gbenga, let's have your take before we conclude here.
Yeah, good evening again.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. See, the issue of APC is not unexpected because they are the party in power. When they were having their congresses before they won the election, there was nothing at stake. It's like a 50-50. So there was no rancor, no personal interest. But now that they are in power, everybody wants to grab whatever he wants. Those who lost out in the sharing of the loot or the position in the last 3 years are planning to get something. And those who are there also will not let go. It's not unexpected. It's only the way they will handle it that will determine if they will have problem or not. But if they are spoken something, there are problems because those people are causing problems in APC is because of their personal interest. And the Congress is to expose them to really show who and who is with us. I'm telling you, some people are already going. They're just using all this NCB or something for something. They're already going. They are waiting for something to cling to before they go.
All right, Gbenga, thank you very much. Justice Dingba said the moves by the National Working Committee under the Oyegun leadership were anti the Constitution, anti the party Constitution, and a host of other laws. Hence, the prerogative on the part of the court to come in, even though it was internal politics,
yes,
quote, and unquote.
He said the attempt to elongate their tenure is in gross violation of Section 223 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. So I think we should be thanking the Vice President and the President because when they got into the argument and the governor of Ondo State was reported to have said that the attempt to prolong their tenure by fiat was constitutional. The vice president had to argue, citing the position of the law on this matter. And the president too addressed the party members and said, see, we could win this election and someone will go to court. And because of the unlawful action that we took, we could lose our seats. So he warned, and at the end of the day, it was decided that they have elective congresses so that these people can be replaced and all that. So you can't prolong your tenure. He also said a court of law should not ordinarily involve in internal affairs of a political party, but when such affairs in contravention of the Nigerian Constitution, Constitution of the party, or any other law, jurisdiction of the court will be invoked automatically.
Right.
So we thank the vice president for doing the right thing, for standing on the truth, and the president for insisting that these people cannot prolong their tenure through the back door. It was the right thing to do. We said at that time that time will vindicate both men. And that's exactly what has happened, because for this judge to show us that, look, this thing was against the law, is another way of telling us what would happen if anybody tries to do such a thing, what will happen in 2019. Remember that even the 2015 election, if not because some lawyers went to court and secured an injunction, we would not have been able to use the card reader. And the APC would not have won the election without the card reader.
All right. Babajide, Chris, and last but not the least, Mayor Akinpelu. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for speaking with us on the show today. That's how it's been. Journalists Hangout today, first day of the week. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program, but you can watch the repeat broadcast, of course, tonight at 11 a.m. and on all our other platforms showing on the screen as well. Thanks a lot for watching Journalists Hang Out today. I'm Kemi Foladiemo. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.